So in a first for the continent, a free sanitary towel vending machine has been launched at a school in Cape Town. This initiative is the brainchild of an organization called Greyson and the Menstruation Foundation. Plans are afoot to provide the same service at other schools through a combination of corporate sponsorships and collaboration with the foundations. The initiative comes as Scotland becomes the first country in the world to legislate the provision of free sanitary products for women. For more on this, let's bring in our guests who are behind this launch. Philani Zama is Executive Director of Greyson and Marius Basson, Director of the Menstruation Foundation. To both of you, thanks very much for joining us from Cape Town. Great to be chatting to you, especially on this incredibly important issue. I wonder if I can start with you, Philani. I mean, in my mind, vending machines need money. How does this one work?
Yes, I think most people tend to think vending machine and think money. In actual fact, the one that is out there in terms of vending machine actually uses money. So for us, the first of its kind is we offering a vending machine that actually uses a token system that is given to the young girls or the young woman, to clarify, young woman. And it literally just dispenses, a sanitary pack. So it's not necessarily money. We find the money through corporates and all that, but the user end gets it for free because ultimately pads should be for free, and we want to strive in that fashion that it should be free.
Yeah. Marius, part of the questions we were asking ourselves is this a great step for innovation or long overdue? How do you see it?
Well, it's definitely long overdue. Like Philani said, there has been attempts in the past to launch similar programs through vending machines and stuff. Was a big thing about it, obviously, is accessibility, to take away corruption and sustainability. So, we working a very long time on to get the module right. We obviously also have to keep in mind that a lot of the schools in rural areas doesn't have electricity. So that's why our machine, first of its kind in Africa, doesn't need electricity. It's fully manual, token driven, and it can dispense, various variety of sanitary products, towels, cups, reusable pads, etc. So yes, definitely long overdue, like you said, but now we need to put the stand down there to make this, sustainable throughout all of South Africa to give all women access.
Right. Perhaps it's worth taking a step back, Marius, and asking you to tell us a bit more about the Menstruation Foundation. We're already seeing a few images of some of the work that you do and some of the people involved. I can't help but notice only seeing men there.
Yes, yeah. So myself and Sif Ngezi started Menstruation Foundation in 2019. We believe if men bled once a month, sanitary products would be free, and we really want to get into space and show men that the menstrual cycle is definitely not something to be grossed out about. It's part of life, and we need to be part of that as well. Make the journey for the females much easier, and that's why we started it. And just in the last 6 months, we've given out 372,000 pads in the Western Cape area. So we're very active in it, but that's why we had to create a module to make it sustainable. And we've got a great, ambassador list that assists us all the time. And then we're very fortunate now that Babawa Lacha, which is the women's female Springbok rugby captain, also joined Menstruation Foundation as a director.
And Philani, Greyson might be an organization people are also hearing about for the first time. What's your interest in specifically an initiative like this?
So for us, as Greyson, I founded the organization a couple of years ago to cover the gap that government actually has failed young people in. So when young people get to the age of 18 that are in care, which means children's home or foster care, they are basically kicked out of children's homes. Because government says you are 18. And the question for me, where do you go to? And so I needed to cover this gap and make sure that young people are independent. But I wanted to specifically, cater for young women transitioning out of care. So our main focus is young women transitioning out of care, making sure that young women become independent.
As you do that, of course, you need to make sure that the resources at your disposal stretch as far as they can and are as impactful as possible. Philani, take me through the decision or the considerations made in deciding to choose this specific school in Cape Town, because, of course, sadly, we're spoiled for choice about where this gap can be filled, aren't we?
Yeah, well, specifically, I mean, I'm a KZN boy, but when I moved down to Cape Town, I realized the extreme need for the work that I'm doing, specifically because in Durban, there's not many children's homes. There are children's homes, but where I was exposed to the large number of children's homes was in Cape Town. And so I then saw actually that we are failing these young people. And so to then start it in Cape Town was just the perfect space and the perfect place. But yes, the intent is to be national. I think there's orphans throughout that, and it's young people that want to become independent. We're not talking about people that are saying, they just don't want anything out of life. But we've got to give people the space, and so that's why with Old Grace that each young girl or young woman actually has their own bedroom at Old Graceland, and it takes a huge amount of resources. So basically, it's like 80,000 rand per young person per year at Old Graceland. So it's a lot of resources need to go into that. But I guess this is why also we believe that collaborations are key and a point. And that's why with the Menstruation Foundation, we saw that it would be great to work together rather than apart, and hence the formation of both organizations working together.
Maurice, as an activist in the space, you must have come across the term, I think it's period poverty. If you have, perhaps explain it to us and how you're working to try and ensure that it's eradicated.
Well,
as we have it, it looks like we've lost our connection to Maurice just as he was about to speak. Philani, if you can still hear us, I mean, a part of the work that needs to continue, of course, is to try and ensure that the people that you are assisting are left better off. I'm not sure if you are familiar with this term and ways through which this type of initiative is working against that.
No, definitely it is. I mean, period poverty for us as well. I mean, as much as our main focus is youth transitioning out of care, that gap, but we've evolved over the years to say, actually, it's a multifaceted organization, and so we should cover period poverty specifically because we are working with young women, and so part of that is to make sure that young women are going to school, are in sports hubs, are where they should be because their period is not a hindrance. And period poverty for me means is that it becomes a hindrance, if the right resources are not there for young people. And also remember, as men, this is also our part to play. It's not a woman thing. It's an everybody thing. I mean, Maurice, if you would have heard him, he probably would have told you that it's shocking the things that we hear out here when we start talking about pads and period poverty. The men just cringe, and we want to change that and have the new pool and be in the space to say, we period are us. There's birth because there's periods. And so it's something that we should be actually highlighting in a beautiful way, because that's how birth happened, because there was a period.
Yeah. Marinus, it looks like you are back with us. If you can hear me, I want to delve into that. Your being a man in this space can't come without its challenges. I wonder if you can just map out for us the nature of the difficulties you're facing, predominantly because you're a man.
I was fortunate enough, and for my partner Siv to be surrounded when we grow up by females, and it's never been a thing for us. So I only started realizing it, growing up, especially now as my own daughter is growing up, that what the challenges they have around it, and how big of a hush it is in the men's circles. And then started working in the rural areas. We quickly also then realized, it's not even. The mums talk about it, some of these ladies bleed for 2 years and they don't even know what's going on, of course, obviously of information and education. So it is a big problem, but we need to start at the bottom and work our way up and with different partners to make sure that the information is out there and education is out there. But yes, it's very tough. The nice thing about it is that, we're all big boys and that can stand our man. So, when you walk into a school and you talk to a principal or men around you and you start talking about it, if they realize that these confident big alpha males, you can call it like that, myself and so, then they realize, like, look, maybe it's not a problem. Maybe it's not something that is not cool. We really want to put it out there and say that the new cool is that this is part of humanity, and us as men need to know that this is where we come from. There's nothing gross about it.
Yeah.
But look, it's definitely challenging, but that's why we're doing it.
I imagine, though, part of the risk is that you could get into spaces where you create echo chambers, where it's enclaves of preaching to the choir, and the message doesn't reach the people that it needs to, whoever they are. How are you ensuring that you're continuously breaking boundaries and don't get yourself into a self-congratulatory space where, it just feels like what you're doing ought to be seen as this beyond extraordinary moment as opposed to focusing on the people at the heart of it?
Yeah, again, that's exactly why we created the pad vending machine program project for South Africa, because this is a sustainable program where everybody can see, when corporates or anybody puts in their money behind it, it's not a once-off where we show them a photo and said, we delivered 10,000 pads in that area. The machine is up there, it's branded, it needs to be restocked every month. The program is a 12-month program that they invest in. So all the ladies in that school have access for 12 months, and then obviously we continue in year 2. So it's a continuous program. They know exactly where their money is going. Everybody can follow it. Everybody can see it. And that's what we stand for. If we put 1,000 machines like that in the Western Cape, every woman in the Western Cape will have free access, and that's what we fight for.
I'm told that's the time we have, but very quickly, Philani, the plan is to also get it elsewhere around the country. How are you planning to do that? In fact, let me ask, what other places are you eyeing?
So the plan is, firstly, obviously, to roll it out within the Western Cape. So we're really looking at corporates and individuals. I mean, it's not to say an individual doesn't have the money to actually get these vending machines out there. So the plan is to roll it out within the Western Cape first, and we have a number of schools that we've partnered with already. Morris will tell you the list is quite big, and it keeps growing daily that these schools are actually needing these machines. And so thereafter, already we're in communications with some people that are wanting it in Johannesburg and Durban. So the need is there, and the rolling out is based also on just as corporates come in and as individuals come in and they get these sanitary pads, vending machines out there. But yeah, the talks are already there for Johannesburg, Durban, but yes, at this point, the focus is to start in the Western Cape, but not to say that we can't do it simultaneously between the other provinces as well. But yes, definitely rolling it out. Absolutely.
Well, one can only hope that the right people are listening and will do the right thing. Thanks very much for both your time. Really appreciate it. Philani Zama is the managing director of Greyson, also joined there by Marius Basson, who's the director of Menstruation Foundation. To both of you once again, thanks very much indeed.